Now on to our forum. Ms. Veronica Gonzalez is the Senior Vice President of Governmental and Community Relations at UTRGV. Veronica is a recognized leader in the public and private sectors, having over 20 years of experience in negotiating and advocating to obtain results as an attorney, mediator, state legislator, fundraiser, and now working in government and community relations. Please welcome our past president of the Edinburgh Chamber of Commerce and today's moderator, Veronica Gonzalez.
Well, good morning, everyone. It's Friday. Yay, TGIF. Thank you. On behalf of the Chamber, thank you all so much for joining us this Friday morning. And we want to extend a special thanks to the candidates for joining us this morning, and most especially for their willingness to run and to serve the community, which is what is important here, is serving the community. You know, public service is noble. Speaking from experience, I can tell you that at most times, it is extremely rewarding. But it also takes a lot of time away from our families, our friends, our jobs, and our privacy. At times, it can seem thankless. So again, to our candidates, thank you. Thank you for being here, and thank you for running. Now, allow me to start with our city council candidates that are running for place 1 and place 2. I'm going to call place 1 candidates up to the stage. Mr. Dan Diaz and Mr. Smiley Martinez, can you come on up to the stage? For some in the room, I know this is the first time you actually get to see them in person, and so we wanted to make sure we'd call them up and let you take a look at them, as they say, and then I will now call, you can sit right here, it's fine. And then we're going to call our place 2 candidates, Jason De Leon and Reuben Bubba Palacios, if you'll come on up to the stage. That's nice when the candidates hug each other, huh? So, gentlemen, I'm going to ask you some questions. Some questions may be for all of you, and some may be directed only to particular candidates. Because we are limited in time, we have, of course, our mayoral candidates as well. I'm going to ask that you keep your response to about 2 minutes if you can. And if it's a short answer you got, don't feel like you got to take up the whole 2 minutes. So let me get into letting the public know who it is you are. We know that serving on the City Commission is volunteer service, and it's a non-paying position, but takes up a lot of your time. Because it is non-paid, it's important to keep your day job. So please tell everyone what it is you do for a living and how long you've been doing it. I'd also like you to say why you want to be a councilman and what you believe is the most important asset or experience that you bring to the position. So let me start with, I'll start here with Smiley Martinez.
All right, can everybody hear me? Good morning. Thank you all for being here. And my name is Ismael Aron Martinez. My friends call me Smiley. It's a name that was given to me by my best friend in junior high, and I've lived with that name for 61 years now, and I'm very proud of it. I am the owner of I Am Insurance Agency. We're an independent multi-lines insurance agency. We do business with, of course, the private sector, business owners. I do a lot of business with the public entities, cities and schools and things of that nature. I've been doing business for 25 years this December as an independent agent. I represent different companies, and as I stated, I'm a multi-lines agent. I do more than just health insurance and life insurance. We do the property and casualty, which include workers' comp, commercial auto, property and casualty includes so many different things, umbrellas, professional liability, things of that nature. And I've been very fortunate to work with so many different cities across the Rio Grande Valley with school districts like San Benito ISD, La Jolla ISD, City of FAR for 12 years, City of Edinburgh for 5 years, City of Elsa for about 3 years. So I have a lot of experience working with public entities and understanding the dynamics of working with city council members and staff. been very fortunate and very successful in helping my clients achieve the best possible benefit packages for their employees, and at the same time working with my companies as their representative to deliver the customer service that's desired and required to continue to have those contracts and provide the quality service that they need and deserve. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Diaz?
Guys, good morning. My name is Dan Diaz. I want to start off by thanking the Chamber. I want to thank Veronica for being the moderator and everybody in attendance today. For those that don't know me, my name is Dan Diaz. I'm running for City Council Place 1. From a young age, I knew that I wanted to serve and help people. I grew up in the 80s, which is the best decade to grow up in. And I tell people the college scholarships and funding that's available today was not readily available back then. Growing up, I knew that it was going to be hard to go to college. I had grandfathers, uncles that had served in the military, so I always wanted to serve my country. I decided to join the Army. I joined for the scholarship opportunities, also to serve my country. I always knew I wanted to be in healthcare. I became a combat medic. Enjoyed that to the fullest. I was sent to Desert Storm, where my perspective in life kind of changed. Had a few close calls out in Desert Storm. In my mind, I always wanted to be a doctor or a surgeon, but I told the good Lord, if you let me go back home, I'm going to take smaller steps and serve my community sooner than a 10-year plan down the road. So I made it through Desert Storm, came back home, became a paramedic. I've been a paramedic for over 25 years. I've worked here. I got out of the Army, moved to Edinburgh to go to school, and I love the community. I've been here since 1992. Love the small town feel, love the people, and I called it my home. I knew that I'd eventually build my home, raise a family here. I ended up working at the busiest 911 service in the valley. It was called Catalina Ambulance. We serviced majority of the area. After a few years of experience, I decided to open up my own ambulance company. In 1999, I opened up NTS Ambulance. I've been a business owner, entrepreneur for over 22 years. I found out that there was a small niche of undeserved or not very well serviced community, and that's our elderly, the nursing homes, and that's called the non-emergency market. So we felt that area needed a professional, qualified ambulance company to service them, and it's the niche that we've done. We've done it for over 20 years. I enjoy helping the senior citizens of that community. We volunteered in events our whole life. Eventually, I wanted to also further my knowledge. I became an ER nurse. I've been an ER nurse for over 6 years. Here in the city, I wanted to keep serving. I volunteered coach, still doing it for over 10 years. People would always tell me, Dan, you're coaching, you don't have any kids. Well, I have a 10-year-old boy now, born and raised here in Edinburgh, so I have a good excuse to coach in all the different leagues that I do. I've served in different board capacity. I was a part of the medical advisory board before the development of DHR. I was on the Parks and Rec board for some time. Currently, I'm on the EDC and was elected as secretary. As a business owner, I think that managing budgets, employees, ups and downs, like every business owner here knows we have year in, year out. 20 years of experience, it's something vital to jump into City Hall. And like I said, for me, it's always been about serving. I think that the time I've served, the experience I have running businesses, and also my expertise in healthcare make me a good candidate for City Council. I think that this is unprecedented times. We all know about COVID. Every day, our lives are changing. My experience with disaster response, mass casualty incidents, COVID-related things, I think helped me bring a unique perspective to City Council. And it's just a natural progression to jump into City Hall and serve my citizens.
Thank you. All right, those were our place 1 candidates. Now for our place 2 candidates, Mr. Palacios.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Veronica. Thank you, Chamber of Commerce, for letting us come out here and show what we got to offer for Edinburgh. Again, my name is Reuben Bubba Palacios, and I go with Bubba because if you're ever in Edinburgh, look for Bubba. Don't look for Reuben. It's been given to me since I was in 5th grade by, God bless his soul, Coach Robert Bedla gave me that name in my 5th grade year when he saw me walking across. He saw me walking from elementary to junior high and told my dad, what is your son doing out of football? And that's, I started playing football in 5th grade. And he said, your name is Bubba now. So this is the reason why I went with Bubba, and I love it. I love it. Came from a beautiful man, came from my coach. And what I bring here, I mean, I raised here in Edinburgh all my life. I've been here. I started with my family's business, working. My dad, proud of what my dad has done, you know, success, built his own little dynasty, business-wise, and we kept on going. I kept on going, helping him out, helping his business. We sacrificed on some education because we wanted to educate everybody else behind me, and we did. You know, so we've been a working ethic family. We have always been here to help and serve the city of Edinburgh, and this is what I'm trying to be, is to serve, keep serving. At 18 years old, I came in as a coach for recreational baseball, and kept on going till for 30 years, coaching and running the leagues, being president of the baseball leagues, helping kids, admiring doing that, helping the kids, serving kids, and teaching them to grow in a good manner. And I've done this all my life. Through this, I've been a GM for my family business for 25 years. We ran a highly successful business. We sold in 2007. 2007, I decided to turn around, and what was I going to do? Went into the insurance business also. Got into the insurance business for another 10 years. Still in it, still have a little agency, but I'm more of a freelancer. I like to go out and find more things to do. I'm a busybody. I like to find what's going on out there. So right now, currently I'm working for Riverside Development, and the reason I'm doing that is just to learn more about our drainage systems, our sewer systems, and so on. And before I decided to come in here, I decided to get into this business, into developing business, to be able to learn those things. This is the reason why I'm ready, just to bring my expertise, bring not only my expertise, my contacts, and everything that's needed to improve Edinburgh. We're doing good. We're doing good here in Edinburgh. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going forward. Thank you so very much. Ruben, Palacios.
Thank you. Mr. De Leon?
Good morning. My name is, well, first of all, I'd like to thank Veronica Gonzalez for being here today and moderating this informative forum that the Edinburgh Chamber of Commerce has put together. Most importantly, I would like to thank the past local government officials for setting the foundation for us to be here today. Without you, none of this would be possible. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Jason De Leon, and my friends call me Jason De Leon. I'm a loan officer at Willowbin Mortgage, where I help families purchase a place they can call home. Previously, before I was a loan officer, I worked in my family business as a funeral director and an embalmer at the Memorial Funeral Home in Edinburgh off Canton Road. It's a family-owned and operated business, and I've served there for over 17 years, where we serve families in their most difficult time of need. One of the things that the funeral industry has taught me is that it doesn't matter what walk of life you come from, you must treat everyone with dignity and respect, because you never know when it's the last time you'll see them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. And let me ask you, you mentioned the companies you work with or that you have worked with. So does the work that you do or the company with which you work, do you secure contracts from the city of Edinburgh, or have you ever? I'll start again. Mr. Martinez?
Yes, thank you. My insurance agency, as I mentioned before, we do secure contracts with public entities, and I have in the past served as the insurance agent of record for the city of Edinburgh. We were very successful in implementing great health insurance benefits, one of the best programs that the city of Edinburgh has ever had, bar none to any other municipality. Just as soon as we received the contract that we were awarded it, just going from the current carrier that they had to us with Blue Cross Blue Shield and my agency, we saved the city $400,000. And then subsequently going in there and digging in and looking at different situations with other products that were being offered that the city was paying for the employees that were duplicate products, we saved the city another $400,000, all within 90 days of me being the insurance agent. Subsequently, after that, every year we negotiated with the carrier, and we were able to secure decreases on the premiums, which means a savings of tax dollars and giving the employees a better opportunity to afford their portion of the share of the premium. So over the years, we saved the city of Edinburgh a little over $2 million under my supervision on the health insurance. Then I created a proprietary network for workers' comp program because they were struggling with workers' comp. They were averaging almost $1 million a year in claim. And we developed a program where we contracted directly with the providers and set a amount of rate of reimbursement. And we only had a finite number, a limited number of providers in the network. Well, a year and a half later, we took them from $978,000 in claims to $96,000 a year. I'm very proud of that, having been able to do that for my community, all at a very low commission rate, because it's my community, my city that I live in, that I pay taxes in. These are my neighbors, my friends that I know and I see every day on the streets. So at this time, no, I do not secure a contract or have intentions of securing a contract with the city, because it will be a conflict of interest, and it's not anything that I'm interested in doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Diaz.
My area of work is emergency medical services. I have never had a contract with the city. I've never bid for a contract with the city. I don't plan to do any business with the city. I have helped the city in mass casualty incidents, floods. Back when Edinburgh EMS was still here, we were part of their mutual aid whenever they couldn't respond to emergencies. We evacuated people just from north of here to the other areas of the state, but I've never done any business with the city.
Thank you. Mr. Palacios?
In my work of line, I'm a construction manager for Riverside Development. We don't secure. We do private entities. We don't secure any contracts for any public entities. No, we don't do anything like that, and we won't.
And Mr. De Leon?
I'm proud to say that the work that my family and I take part in does not do business with the city of Edinburgh. Working in the private sector, you learn very quickly that you cannot rely on anyone or any body of government to secure your personal finances. Most fathers teach their sons how to hunt, and they teach their sons how to fish. My dad told me, I'm not going to teach any of that to you. He said, I'm going to teach you how to work, and that's exactly what I'm going to do for the city of Edinburgh. Thank you.
Thank you. So gentlemen, I'm going to, these will be different questions for each set of candidates, but I wanted to ask you about the growth in Edinburgh, because we've seen tremendous growth in recent years. In fact, Edinburgh is one of the fastest growing cities in the nation. For those that are not aware, it's the 12th fastest growing among cities over 100,000 in population. And it's the fastest growing city in the Rio Grande Valley. And on that list of the cities of over 100,000, the only one from the Rio Grande Valley that showed up on that list was Edinburgh, Texas. So we're very proud of that here in Edinburgh, and also the number of permits that are being issued every single month continues to rise. So we see continued growth. So let me ask this to the candidates for place one. What development strategies would you champion to ensure Edinburgh remains a place where younger individuals and families want to live versus cities like San Antonio, Austin, or even other cities here in the Rio Grande Valley? So let me ask that to Mr. Martinez and also to Mr. Diaz. Let's start with you, Mr. Diaz, on this one.
Thank you for the question, Veronica. So I think it's very important to keep younger families engaged in the city. I think it's very important to provide the quality of life needed for that age bracket. What does that mean? That means the development of downtown. We've talked about an entertainment district to keep that age group engaged, to keep them from moving out of the city, to keep them here past 5 o'clock. A lot of people always talk about that Edinburgh is a hustle and bustling city, but after 5, it's very quiet. But I have to interject that we can't forget our seniors. McAllen has several senior activity centers. I think it's something the city needs to consider. There's a lot of families that transport their parents, their grandparents to other cities for those type of activities. I want to address that. And as far as keeping families in town, when I was on Parks and Rec Board 4 or 5 years ago, the city was still behind on the number of parks versus the population. There's a formula there, and the thinking is that you have to have X number of parks for your population to keep a healthy, vibrant community. And I know we were behind there back then. I think that we need to make sure that we're up to par with that. I also think we need a regional park, a larger project in collaboration with the county, with the school district, so we can bring in many more sports leagues. For anybody that's in sports, the tournament play is very, very big, brings out a lot of collateral dollars to the area. And another thing I have to mention for families, the city of Edinburgh, I've coached many, many years. I've also played adult softball many years throughout the state. The city of Edinburgh, we need more league night sports leagues for the kids. Right now, the families, you can play once a year baseball, and then you travel to McAllen or somewhere else to play league night. Not every Edinburgh family can do that. Not every Edinburgh family can afford to take their kids to another town. We need to provide the parks, provide the sports leagues, to have them here and play more than just one season. I think that will keep families in, and I see a time card. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Martinez?
Yes. Well, we understand that small businesses are the lifeblood of every community in the Rio Grande Valley, and we're no different in Edinburgh. I believe that as a city council and members of the community, we need to be more inclusive of these businesses and help promote them with a better plan to promote them, to help them grow, help them with strategies. Because of the new technology that we have out here today, they need to be able to change and course correct to improve and continue to grow as their business. And now that helps us develop a base of employment for our young people that are getting educated, so that we don't lose them to other cities, not just in the valley, but outside of the valley. We need to promote from within and help our businesses continue to keep their doors open. COVID was a horrible thing. A lot of our businesses, small businesses, lost their business. Their employees lost their employment. And we need to be proactive. We need to be aggressive to be able to bring these businesses back and or keep them open. And yes, we need green spaces. We do need more inclusion and opportunities for our children to be able to participate in outdoor athletics. We were athletes, most of us. You know, we all spent a lot of time outside. We played football, we played baseball, we played basketball, soccer, golf. Those are all wonderful opportunities for our children to be outside, to get good sunlight. We need to be more aggressive in the manner that we participate and partner with our community. Lack of communication, lack of inclusion, that needs to stop. We need to be more open. We need to have more walkthroughs in the communities and listen to our members of the community, listen to our citizens, listen to our business community, listen to the homeowners. Let's be more proactive, let's be more open, let's be more available to them. Remember, the citizens don't work for the city council. The city council works for the citizens because they pay the taxes. And we need to listen to them, and we need to follow up on the things that we commit to for the citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Mr. Palacios and Mr. De Leon, the development strategies we were talking, you've heard about, and we know what Edinburgh has been doing up to now. Could you tell us, is there anything that Edinburgh's current leadership has been doing that you would not do or that you would do differently?
Let me tell you, what they're doing right now, it's a good job. They're moving on quality to life. But I think the most important right now for us, what I would do different, it would be to be more aggressive on our industrial, commercial, retail side, get our economic development, give them the power to go out there and push more on that side.
Thank you. Mr. De Leon?
The Edinburgh leadership has currently implemented numerous projects. One is the revitalization of downtown, the road structures, and improvement in drainage. What I believe that we can improve on is increasing the staffing at the City Hall so we can provide a more efficient service for our citizens, and also better customer service. At the end of the day, we do serve our community, and it's very important that we consider how we address the concerns of our community in the most efficient way as possible. So I would like to go in there and start asking the question, how can we improve efficiency? How can we improve technology? And most of all, how can we improve the addressing the concerns of our citizens? Thank you.
Thank you. So gentlemen, there's a saying that there's power in numbers, and the MPO is one project where we've seen that collaborating as a region has led to increased transportation funding for the Rio Grande Valley. Are there any other opportunities that you see for Edinburgh to collaborate with other cities to benefit not only Edinburgh, but the entire Rio Grande Valley? If so, what are those? Let me start on the further end. Mr. De Leon?
You know, with the growth that Edinburgh is experiencing, with that it comes great responsibility. So it's important for us to keep our community engaged with communication, and that way we don't lose our citizens to other larger cities like San Antonio, Houston, or Dallas. So I would like to sit down with the council and figure out a formula how we can improve our transportation and how can we improve ourselves as a whole. Thank you.
Mr. Palacios?
The MPO, RGB MPO is a great tool for us to share our costs out here, and it's happening right now as we speak. You see all the highway work that's going on, all the infrastructure regarding the drainage systems and everything that's coming. There's also master plans out there already connecting with our county from here, from our city, county, saying, you know, that we need to keep on going forward with MPO. It's sharing our costs. You know, we've got roads that are owned by McAllen, Edinburgh, just precinct 4, precinct 2, what that we need to share our cost on repairing those roads, and through MPO, it's a great tool for us.
Mr. Diaz, so any other opportunities you see for collaborating with other cities in the Rio Grande Valley?
I do. Like most business owners in the room, where we think outside the box. We're entrepreneurs, right? In the military, we call it a dream sheet. So MPO has shown that working regionally, we can access large federal funding, and I've brought this up to anytime somebody says they're an engineer. I think that the drainage problem is not an Edinburgh problem, it's a Rio Grande Valley problem. I think that we need to work regionally with the cities and establish a regional plan. Because it does no good for Edinburgh to have a plan to push water this way and McAllen to have a plan to push water that way. We've got to work together. We've got to work together to make it happen. And so one of the dream sheet items I've always brought up, I'm like, hey, why can't we have Lake Travis in the Rio Grande Valley? We can have a large destination. Lake Travis, I researched it. It was built in 1942. And it was specifically to address flood-prone areas. There was a dam built, and we have the beautiful structure and venue you have there now. And I think that, and like I said, it's a dream sheet item, but we've got to think outside the box. We've got to aim high and try to attain those goals. I think that's one thing that we can benefit from as a region. Another thing is being a veteran, I always try to look out for my veterans. We all know that a VA hospital has been something that we've all wished for. The last count was that there's approximately 45, thank you, Reuben Ramirez, for that, a fellow veteran in the room. When the VA cemetery came down, I think it's about 10 years ago, the count of veterans at that time was 45,000 veterans in our area. That's bigger than most cities. If we could establish a VA hospital, I think it would help alleviate some of the congestion in our hospitals. But that also would have to be a regional item.
Thank you. And Mr. Martinez?
Well, let me say this. Those are wonderful, wonderful ideas. I would have no problem, whether elected or not, in supporting those ideas from all three of you. That's great. I have the same similar thoughts and ideas. However, I think, and if I may, I spent a lot of time last night before I went to sleep, because this is an extremely important topic, a question here. And if I may, I'd like to share my thoughts. I believe that we need to be more proactive and aggressive in conjunction with our Airport Advisory Board, our city administration, in collaboration with the MPO Board, the RMA, and other cities to help promote our airport as a major commercial hub. We should all work together. We have in Edinburgh something that we can all take advantage of and use as a tool where we can attract major companies to bring their products in, and we can help store them, and then we can be a hub where they can start delivering those products out valley-wide or internationally. I believe that we need to partner with these other entities, our cities, our county, our school districts. You know, we all use the roads. We all have the same drainage problems. We have the same issues. And too long now have we gone without communicating with each other, working with each other. You know, we're one big valley. Yes, we have city limits that divide us a little bit. However, our children, our parents, our grandparents, we've all been born and raised and moved to a sister city. Mr. Diaz, you know, thank you for coming to Edinburgh, sir. We appreciate you, and thank you for your service. And this is the type of thing that we are in the Rio Grande Valley. We're one big family, and we should work together that way to improve not just for one, not just for some, but for all the members of the Rio Grande Valley. We have a drainage problem, absolutely. We have street problems. We have congestion on the highways and the expressways, and we need to find a solution. And yes, there's power in numbers. There is. So let's come together, not just as the city of Edinburgh and the city council, but the rest of the communities, the rest of the cities. Thank you.
And then just real quickly, if you can tell us, and then I'm going to call the mayoral candidates up, but how do you distinguish yourself from your opponent? And I'm going to start with you, Mr. De Leon.
As my opponent has mentioned indeed in the past that he was born and raised in Edinburgh, he sees that as a leading factor. I truly believe that's what sets me apart, that I'm able to bring an outside perspective to the city of Edinburgh. Working in the family business, I truly learned what the community is looking for from the business standpoint and the wanting standpoint. Therefore, I feel that that makes me an all-around individual because I'm able to understand what the community is thinking outside and inside perspective as far as their mindset. So I think that's what truly separates me from my opponent.
Mr. Palacios?
Yes, of course, I mean, proud of being raised here in Edinburgh and all my life and doing so many things here, serving here at Edinburgh. I think the biggest thing is keep on serving is my biggest thing. I serve here. I'm going to serve for you, the community. The growth is coming. We got to be prepared. How do I bring that experience, guys? I'm into construction. I came out of the construction concrete business. I got into insurance. I got into developing now. It's the experience that I've gone. I'm 56 years old. I've been in every type of experience from logistical to construction. So guys, I'm here to move this forward. We need logistics. We need to come out and look at our city. Smiley, Martinez said it right. Logistics is a big thing. We need to create it for our big industrial companies to come in. They gotta see that we have logistics. So that's the contacts and information that I can bring to you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Diaz?
The question is, what sets me apart from my opponent? I've known Smiley many years. We actually, when I built my house in 2004, we lived in the same neighborhood. He'd see me down HEB and say, "Hey, neighbor," and I'd be like, "Hey, Smiley." I don't know Smiley's reasons for running. I'm sure he'll share that with us. For me, it's always been about serving. I'm not used to talking about what I do. That was one of the hardest parts for me, to kind of advertise what I do every day of my life, what I've been doing for the past 20 years. And I can tell you, whether I make it into City Hall or not, nothing changes for me. I'm going to be the same person that I've always been serving my community. I have everything that I've done. Some people say, "Wow, you've been very busy now that you're running." I said, "This is what I've been doing my whole life. I don't know what else to do." So I will continue to serve. I will continue to coach. I will continue to show up at all the chamber events. I will continue to serve on boards if asked to. Nothing will change for me. I'm just here to serve, and I want to bring honor, integrity to the city council. I want to serve honorably, just like I served honorably in the United States Army. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Martinez?
Well, besides the difference in age, which is obvious,
They'll have the same hairstyle.
I know, right? And
You took my line. I was going to say I have a better hairstyle than Smiley. But thanks.
well, I think he rocks it better, though. I don't know. Well, the reason for all of this is obviously our desire, all four of us, and of course the mayoral candidates, is to serve our community, to serve our city. And we've always heard that, you know, lead by example, lead by example. You know, our thing and my thing especially is I come from a family of migrant workers. And we've worked very, very difficult, very hard. I come from a grandmother who died at age 92, who was a midwife and delivered many, many children into this community in Edinburgh, which have become citizens and are members of this community that have become leaders and whatnot. My mother was a single mom raising 5 young men by herself with a 3rd grade education. She led families in our migrant aid years. She would drive a tandem all the way to California with my brothers in the back and 20 vehicles following her. My brother, who raised me like a father, he retired recently from Coca-Cola. After 20 years there, he retired as the only Hispanic vice president in the entire United States with a degree to teach government at the high school level from Penn American College. So our roots are deep. Our roots are deep. Not saying that Mr. Diaz is not welcome because he was born in Harlingen. That's wonderful. He chose to come and live in Edinburgh. Thank you for that. And he's chosen to be a part of the political system here, to be part of the election process. And I thank him for that, and all the other candidates too. Because we have a wonderful community. We all want to serve. We all want to make it better. And the only way we can do that is by coming out and actually doing something about it. And I encourage everyone. It's a runoff, yes, and sometimes the numbers are lower. Well, this is the most important election we're going to have in many years. So please come out and vote. Thank you all very, very much today. Thank you.
Thank you for that, and thank you also very much for participating in this, and again, for putting your hat in the ring and wanting to serve your community even more than you have today. So thank you, and please join me in thanking the 4 candidates for the City Commission. Place 1 and place 2. City Council. Well, again, thank you for being here, and at this time, I'm going to call for our 2 mayoral candidates to come up. We have our current mayor, Mr. Richard Molina. I know he's in the room somewhere. I didn't see him, but there he is. And you want to come on up, Mayor? And we have also Mr. Ramiro Garza, also running for mayor. Come on up, Ramiro. And I'm going to join you guys sitting down because I wore the wrong shoes, and my feet are killing me. How are you, sir? Good morning. How are you? Good to see y'all. Have a seat. Y'all can take these 2 seats here. There's some water for you. And thanks again, gentlemen, for being here this morning. You heard the questions that I was asking of the candidates for City Council. And so I know that the 2 of you are well known in the community. And Mayor, of course, you're our current mayor, but you have a side job as well. You have a day job that pays your bills, right? And so I'm going to ask the same question that I asked of the candidates. Tell us what it is you do for a living, and how long you've been doing it, and then also why you want to continue to be mayor, or why you want to be mayor, and what you believe is the most important asset that you bring to the job. Mayor, we'll start with you.
Test. Well, I want to first and foremost, because I am the city mayor, Veronica, I just want to welcome everybody to the city. Thank you for taking the time to be here. And just for the record, the proceeds that were received today do not go to my campaign or to Ramiro's. So it goes to the chamber. But I just want to thank everybody. Obviously, you all have an interest in the city. You have an interest as to what's going on here. You know, from what I understand, Ronnie sold every seat in the House. Now, I don't know if everybody showed up, but that's a good thing. There was a buzz for people to come out here. There's some excitement. The media is here. I see the monitor. I see Channel 5. I see so there's big hype going on with this race. But the question that she asked me was this. She asked what I do for a living. I have two businesses that I am the owner of. I have Odyssey Primary Home Care, which is a home health agency here in the city of Edinburgh. It's located at 3224 South Sugar. So if there's anybody that has to get a hold of me, that's where I'm at some of the time. But usually, if you have questions about what's going on with the city or anything, I always have an open door policy. I have people come in every time to that office. Also, I have Molina's Construction, which is a rental property business that I run. I don't collect rent anymore because I have over 40 rental properties now. And it was so hard for me and my wife to go door to door and collect these rents. So we've obviously got a management company that runs that. But that's what I do. On top of that, I'm the mayor of the city of Edinburgh. I could tell you that the position that I currently have, and if Ramiro, if he wants to be mayor, I can tell him that it's going to eat up about 50% of his day, because it's a job that demands a whole lot. The city is growing rapidly, and we'll talk about some of those questions, but it is very, very time consuming. And people have asked me, why do you continue to take bullets for free? Because it's an unpaid position. And my answer is this, with all the progress and everything that we've done in the past 4 years, we want to keep that progress. But I just wanted to answer the question, two businesses, and then we'll get on to the other ones. But I also wanted to do the welcoming too.
Thank you. Mr. Garza?
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you, Veronica and the Chamber of Commerce, Ronnie, and everyone that had anything to do with putting this forum together. It's about getting yourselves informed about the candidates. So I appreciate the opportunity. For me, it's a little bit full circle because I was just talking to Elba. I don't see Elba, and I was asking her to confirm. Oh, she's over there. I'm real proud. For me, it's a little bit full circle because I used to be on the chamber board. I don't know if some of you may knew that. And when the public affairs, effort started, so I'm real proud of that, and it's good to see that now I get to participate as a candidate in the forum of that. But a little bit about myself, Ramiro Garza, I'm a candidate for mayor. To answer your question, Veronica, about what do I do for a living, since 2015, I left the city. I was city manager. I started my own company. I'm president of RG Economic Advisors and RGA Investments. I'm involved in real estate development. I work with franchises that are coming to South Texas, help them find a site, help them finance that, and develop their properties. So that's what I do for a living. Very grateful. The reason I'm running is we love this city. This community has been so good to me and my family. Served the community for about 15 years. First as EDC director, heading up the Economic Development Corporation, which actually brought me to Edinburgh in the year 2000. And did that for about 9 years, and then I became city manager in 2009. So I did that for about 6 years. So I know the city well, know how it operates, understand it, and I know it's going to take a lot of time, but for me, it's truly about serving the community. It's been so good to me and my family, as the mayor pointed out. It is an unpaid position, and people do ask me too, why are you running, Ramiro? This is a volunteer pay position. Although I will say some people do think we get a salary, so I've been clarifying that quite a bit. It is an unpaid, but I have always been about public service from a young age. I used to work in a federal empowerment zone when Bill Clinton was president, so I was always, always looking to serve the community in some way or another. We'll be talking more about things, but that's who I am, and that's why I'm running.
Thank you. And you mentioned a company that you work for now, that you do development. Does your company, or have any of the companies you work for, have y'all done business with the city?
No.
Okay. Mayor, what about the companies that you work for? I know right now you're mayor, and that's not the case, but prior to being mayor, did any of your companies, did you do work with the city? Contracts with the city?
No, no contracts at all. There's nothing that we do either directly or indirectly with the city on the home health side. Or on the rental side, there's nothing that we do business with the city with, either directly or indirectly.
Thank you. So we've talked about how Edinburgh is growing. That's a positive. It's growing in a positive direction. We see homes going up, developments going up every day. I was just earlier speaking with one of my colleagues from work who mentioned that He was moving here to a new subdivision that's coming up. We're happy to see that growth is continuing, but what sets Edinburgh apart, do you think, from other Rio Grande Valley cities? And elected, what would you do to keep Edinburgh competitive and not losing opportunities to nearby cities? I'll start with you, Mr. Garza.
Sure, that's a very good question. What sets Edinburgh apart, we're home to the university, UTRGV, being the county seat, having about 11 miles of interstate here in the city of Edinburgh. Those are key assets that our city has that no other city could say that has in a community. We have a lot of land that's available at reasonably priced. I think that's where you see a lot of development that's heading this way. And so I think that's what sets our community apart from any other community. And I think Edinburgh can compete with just about anybody, not just in the region, but outside of this region and even globally, I believe that. But how do we continue that? How do we stay competitive? Because we do have growth. We are one of the fastest growing cities. But with that growth comes responsibilities. And those responsibilities include investing in our infrastructure. If we, don't invest in our infrastructure and make improvements to areas that there's opportunities for development and for it to be competitive, then we're not going to take advantage of some of those opportunities. But we got to have a plan. We got to have my platform is having a 2040 vision plan. And the reason is we got to bring all those assets together. From the university, the county seat, the school district, all the entities that we have, and what makes Edinburgh what it is, we got to package them as part of a plan and execute that plan as part of our budget process for the city. If somebody has asked me, well, the city's not involved with that. Well, absolutely we should. As a city, we have a budget for making improvements throughout our community. And so I think it's important that we make ourselves available as a community, that we have this plan in place where it's not a plan that encompasses an election cycle. It's a plan that continues for over a 20-year period that each and every one of you can participate in, through town forums. And I think that's important. And I think when you have a stake in it as a resident, you'll want to encourage and be a part of it. And I believe that I can help provide that given my experience.
Thank you. Mayor Molina? Yes, sir. Let me re-ask the question. What sets Edinburgh apart from other Rio Grande Valley cities? And if elected, what would you do to keep Edinburgh competitive and not losing opportunities to nearby cities?
Okay, right now, the city is the fastest growing city in the RGV. That's under my leadership. So I would like to say that I have something to do with that. In order for us to continue the momentum that we have right now, we need to keep focusing on jobs. I believe we have some people in the room that have seen what we've done. I mean, many of the people in the room have been to a lot of the ribbon cuttings, a lot of the groundbreakings. You all have seen what we've been doing day after day. South Texas Health Systems here, we were just doing a walkthrough with a tower, a couple of hundred jobs. Across the street here, Driscoll Children's Hospital, another couple hundred jobs. You have to have jobs. That's what drives people to the city. And we also have very large government employers, starting with the school district. They employ over 5,000 people. The second part, you have the county. They have a couple thousand. DHR has 5,000. There's a couple thousand with South Texas Health Systems. That's what's driving all of this momentum, not to mention the courthouse. A lot of people work at the courthouse. A lot of people work for county services. We have over 1,000 employees at the city. So this is what's driving the momentum into Edinburgh. Now, the other thing we're doing is we're obviously having growing pains. These problems are not going to be solved in a matter of a couple of years. One of the things that I was an advocate for was term limits. So one of the things we have now is 2 4-year terms. So in order to keep this momentum, we're going to continue to have the relationships that we already have. We haven't broke any commitments that we've had with UTRGV. We continue to fund the medical school, which is $1 million a year. We continue to fund the Chamber of Commerce, which we just passed the budget this last time. We can't forget about our South Texas Museum. That is big. So what I'm telling you is, right now, Edinburgh, there's a buzz going on in Edinburgh. Something good is happening here, and we need to continue that momentum. A lot of the players that we have in place, a lot of the staff members have a lot to do with the success that we're having. And it's very important for us to keep the momentum, that we keep the same staff in place, because I think that that has a lot to do with it. It's a very, very talented group of individuals, and some of them are not even from Edinburgh, which is, it lets you know that I say this, you got to be real careful when you say, well, I'm born and raised in Edinburgh, and because now when you go knocking on a door, you go door to door, 50% of the population, they're not from Edinburgh. The other 50% are us that were born and raised. So in another 4 years, the people that were born and raised in Edinburgh will clearly be the minority. But what I'm telling you is there's change going on in the city of Edinburgh, and it's very important for us to keep that momentum, that we continue to focus on jobs. Security is big, continuing to feed our law enforcement, and I'm out of time.
Well, I think this was mentioned earlier, and you mentioned it just a moment ago about the health system. So Edinburgh is home to 2 hospital systems, soon 3 with the Driscoll Children's Hospital coming. The only medical school south of San Antonio, and the medical industry is one that is thriving here in Edinburgh. What do you propose to do to support the healthcare industry and the medical school so it can bring continued growth and address healthcare needs in the Rio Grande Valley? Start with you, Mayor.
There's an old saying that says, put your money where your mouth is. And we have committed to South Texas Health Systems with a 380 agreement. We've committed to Driscoll Children's Hospital with incentives as well to be able to create those jobs. UTRGV Medical School, the commitment that was made previously, the $1 million, we're continuing to contribute that $1 million. So we are 100% committed to those jobs because they're high-paying jobs. And it's very important that we understand that there's different segments of Edinburgh that we serve, right? You have to be able to relate to those that do well financially, but then let us not forget that the majority of our people live under the poverty line. So it's very important that, yes, we continue with the medical plan, but what I want to say is that the city has gone above and beyond to create the relationships with DHR, South Texas Health Systems, and the medical school, and I think that that's something that we need to continue regardless of who the mayor is.
Thank you. Mr. Garza?
Yes, thank you for the question. So I think first thing we need to do is honor our commitments. I think early on, I'm real proud. Formerly, when I served as city manager, I was involved with the merger of the UT Pan Am and UT Brownsville that made what we have now, UTRGV. And part of that merger included the creation of the School of Medicine. And formerly, the former county judge, Ramon Garcia, he appointed me as liaison to represent the county in negotiating with the university to ensure that we provided the local commitment. And so I'm real proud to say that there's a memorandum of understanding between the cities of Edinburgh, McAllen, Mission, FAR, and the county that is providing that local commitment to the School of Medicine. And so for me, for starters, is we got to honor our commitment. So as a city, we need to help provide that funding that we committed to, but we need to do more than that. We also need to, there's now, the school is here, okay? So that commitment was to bring the school here, because the reason we were involved in that is because we almost lost it, right? There was a chance that it didn't come to Edinburgh. And so it's very important that we honor that commitment, because that is why we're paying that money, so that it could have come here to Edinburgh. But we need to do more. And what is more? What we need to do more is, the school's already here. There's research that is now taking place, right, at the School of Medicine, at the hospitals that are here. We need to find ways as a city, through our economic development efforts, to put together a research park of sorts, right, or even an incubator, so that whatever research is being done, whatever cure is going to be found through diabetes or any kind of medical research, we ought to be involved in helping commercialize, that, so that there's companies that could come out of that. There's employment that could come out of that. But more importantly, there's cure for diseases that, are here in our community. It's right here. That's what schools of medicine are for, to support the healthcare of our community. So I think as a community, I think it's a lot more than just providing money. It's about making it a part of our economic development efforts, just like most of our other communities that have a school of medicine.
Thank you. We actually do have one of our researchers, our cancer researchers, with us today. Thank you for being here, Dr. Chaplan. So, gentlemen, we also have an airport that, some folks don't even realize because the airport's out a little ways, but we have an airport that is growing and has the potential to grow even larger. It's a great asset here, and it's the South Texas International Airport, and it includes about 1,080 total acres of land, and at least 134 acres are available for non-aviation development. What ideas do you have on how we can make the best use of the airport? Let me start with you, Mayor.
The airport, previously to me coming in as mayor, was not treated as a department. It was just something that they had up north. And how many of y'all know that we have an airport here in Edinburgh? Raise your hand. The other half don't know. See, the doctor doesn't know that we have an airport because people freak out. Edinburgh has an airport. I think it got some coverage when Trump came. Trump came, they said, in Edinburgh airport, that must be a mistake. It's got to be McAllen. No, it was Edinburgh. And so one of the things that we're doing to restructure currently right now is we just opened a position for a director of airport. So now the airport is now going to have its own, it's going to be its own division within the city of Edinburgh. And of course, it'll continue to be overseen by the city manager and the EDC as well. But the plan that we have is their security right now. Obviously, that's the angle that they want to go. So you do have DPS, you do have Border Patrol, you do have, the National Guard that's out there. So we're obviously are working on 2 more hangars for security space. So that's very important. That hangar space is very important because you have people with private planes. Now, what we're trying to do is create more hangar spaces for people to come in, because there's a lot of people, there's a community of people that have planes. And those people that have planes are usually the ones that fly to and from destinations, and those are probably the ones doing business or looking to do business in the city. So it's very important that we continue with a hangar space. The second part is we're trying to get more funding for the runway. The runway is not suffice to bring in your bigger cargo planes, where we can eventually do some cargo and maybe some produce that comes in and out of there. So it's very important for us to continue to push with the airport, but it's a process. I'm going to tell you right now, you can hear whatever plan you're going to hear. It's several years away from getting to where it needs to be. So we're going to continue to push the federal funding. We're going to continue to push the state funding to get more grants, but it's just going to be in bits and pieces until eventually in a couple of years we can hit the home run.
Mr. Garza?
Sure. So the airport, it's all about bringing activity to the airport. You cannot extend the runway, ask for funding, just to receive grants to do that. It has to be tied to activity. So I think for me, for starters, is, there's been some tools that the city has brought to provide the airport the activity that I think it needs. One of them is a foreign trade zone. Foreign trade zone, the airport is designated as a foreign trade zone. That foreign trade zone, I don't know if it's even active right now, but that would allow for companies to consider locating at the airport that are producing a product and to bring in parts from another country. But in a foreign trade zone, they don't pay duties on those parts. They only pay duties on the final product. So y'all familiar with McAllen? They have a foreign trade zone. It's not in an airport. It's just a land foreign trade zone. I think our airport, we need to look at tools like that to bring activity, because the key for the airport is bringing activity. Without the activity, it's very difficult to get the funding that we need to make improvements to it. We can provide city funding, but that's going to be limited because of the activity that is not there. The other one is user fee airport. What is a user fee airport? That is a fee that is paid by folks that want to fly internationally into our airport. If we want to make our airport more business, corporate airport, we need to perhaps bring that back and encourage, make the land out there available for people to build their own hangars. I think right now it's based upon whatever amount the city budgets for hangars that can be built. We should have the land available, lease it to people that want to build their own hangar. There's a lot of bankers in here. I think y'all would probably just require us to subordinate our position, the city, and so that they can finance, those hangars. That way the city's not having to do them. And guess what? They won't own the land, the city will. And that's how other airports build hangars. And I think that's what we need to do. And we do need to extend the runway, but in order to extend the runway, we got to bring that activity to the airport.
Thank you. And if you haven't seen the airport, you should drive out a little ways and north and see what's out there. There's a lot of land out there and a lot of potential for growth. There's also an industrial area right across, and there's land available there as well. So if you're interested and you're a developer, take a drive out north and you can see what's there. The two common complaints that you hear in many cities, not just Edinburgh, but are that roads need to be repaired, potholes and the width of roads, and that there's poor drainage. What is your plan for making the necessary repairs to roads and drainage, and how do you propose paying for it? I'll start with you, Mr. Garza.
Sure. So I think a couple things. So I know it's a two-part question. So I think on the roads, as y'all know, that's probably the primary responsibility of our city, our roads. They're owned by the city. We're the ones that maintain them and operate them and service them. I think we need to have an assessment done every year before the budget process. Our budget process, as y'all know, the budget gets approved for October 1st through September 30th. But we need this should be a year-round process. It shouldn't just start, August, September when the budget needs to be approved. I think our roads need to be assessed annually. They need to be assessed so that the amount of traffic that's going in there, you all see the growth that we have, and you see the increase in traffic. We need to do those assessments to know what conditions they're in so that we can prioritize them as part of our budget process and have a schedule for our roads. So I think that's probably one of the more important things that needs to be done as far as streets. There has to be a schedule so that, and put that online so that when residents are asking about, well, when's my road going to be repaved? Well, when is this going to happen? It'll all be on a schedule that you can make available online. And because it's going to be a year-long process, I think that's would help with the planning efforts to get all the streets that not only need to be paved, but that need to be maintained as well. Second, drainage. To me, the city, anything that we do for drainage shouldn't be done without consulting with our drainage district. The Hidalgo County has a drainage district, which is a level of government. They're the ones responsible for the drainage system for our entire county. So I think for us, I would support, I know there's a bond drainage package, we need to complete those projects, but we need to coordinate our efforts with the drainage district. I think it was mentioned earlier about, making sure all the cities provide, drainage improvements, but it's got to be coordinated with the cities. Well, to me, we need to coordinate it with our drainage district. It's a governmental body that it's, the board is made up of the county commissioners court, and guess what? They're a taxing entity. We're all paying into that in addition to our city property tax rate. We need to leverage our city property tax rate with the drainage district so that we can make the improvements that we need to make and maximize, the funds that we put into it. Because at the end of the day, anything we do for drainage is to help the entire drainage system for the county.
Thank you. Mayor Molina?
Yes, currently we are having historic record-breaking drainage projects that we have happening here with the city of Edinburgh. So with that being said, Alberta Road, which is a road that we're working on right now, is going to be widened. So those of you that have been using that to come to and from this area will know that it's going to be widened, and that's already taken care of. They're already starting the acquisition of the land, and they're getting some of the easements, but that is already going to start the process. You have to understand that this city was stagnant before I had come in. So you can see that we're playing a lot of catch up trying to get to a lot of these projects. Ramiro was also with the city for 15 years, so we actually were together for about 2 years. So one of the things I want to say is we're working on drainage right now. It's not something that's going to be fixed overnight. We are widening every drainage ditch in the city. It's called E-Drainburg. We've been promoting this. So the city owns 50 canals. There's about 20 miles along of these drainage canals. We're widening every one of them because what we're trying to do is we're trying to store more water. Obviously, this goes all the way back to the Raymondville drain. Everything, all the water that drops here goes all the way back to Raymondville in that area and into the beach area, the Laguna. So everybody needs to understand that if they get backed up over there, that affects everything over here. So when it rains in Mission and it rains in McAllen, it affects the city of Edinburgh. So what we've come up with, and what I'm sitting on a committee right now with all the other mayors, we're trying to figure out how we can work together to save some money and to fix some of these issues. But it's not going to be done overnight. It's going to be a process which is probably going to take another 20 years. But right now we're playing catch up. So the roadways that we're working on right now, we're buying some right-of-way for Jackson, some right-of-way for Junior. Like I said, Alberta's a big one. Wisconsin is another road that we're going to be working on here. We've already allocated money. We're working on that too. And then the drainage. We have 4 detention ponds that we're doing throughout the city. That was a drainage bond that was passed in 2018. So we're going to be working in those areas. We started at Walmart in that area. There's the subdivisions that are coming up, that are blowing up in that area. We started in that area. We're also going to be working on the west side of town out by Junior. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to be able to put more detention ponds to hold water.
Thank you. Oh, thank you, Ronnie. How many of you have ever flattened your tire with a pothole? I don't know if I'm the only one, but I know that's why I say this is not an issue that is unique to Edinburgh. It's every city you go in, you find a pothole, right? And I bet that is a big complaint department, unfortunately, for the city. So thank you, gentlemen. We're glad to hear that there's a lot of work being done with roads and with the drainage. I had asked this earlier to our council candidates, and talking about how we can collaborate with other cities in the Rio Grande Valley. And so I'll ask it to you as well. Are there any other opportunities you see for Edinburgh to collaborate with other cities to benefit not only Edinburgh, but the entire Rio Grande Valley? And if so, what are those? Mayor, I know you mentioned a moment ago the drainage issue. Any other possible collaborations you see with other cities?
Yes, right now we're doing a campaign. It's called Active Edinburgh, where we're asking the citizens to come out. We're asking them to be more active. We want them to come out, go for a walk, go for a hike, get on the bike, take the dogs out for a walk. The hike and bike trails is something that's very big that we're working on with the city of McAllen, city of San Juan, city of Alamo. It's very important. There's a culture here, and we lead in things that we shouldn't be proud of: diabetes, obesity, heart disease. So we're trying to get people to be more active. So we are working together with those cities to have the hike and bike trails. Also, another issue that we're running into right now is animal control. We have a lot of stray animals that are popping up throughout the entire county, not just in Edinburgh. And we need to be able to work together with these other cities to come up with a policy that's more uniform. Because what's happening is, there's no penalty for not having a chip on your dog. These different things that we need to work on. And one of the things that we did, going back to drainage, was we have uniform laws that the 4 big cities did: Edinburgh, McAllen, Pharr, and Mission. We are 50% of the county's population. So it seems like once the 4 cities get on the same page, then the rest of the other smaller cities tend to follow. So we had a meeting with them. One of the things we did recently was we passed an ordinance that allows developers to give up one lot to put a small drainage pond to hold some of that water, because it's very important that when it rains very, very hard, aggressively like it did yesterday, it rained very, very fast, very, very hard, that they have a place for that water to be stored. So I think these detention ponds and working together with the county and with the cities is very, very important. So that's something that we're working on: animal control. And of course, we all sit on the NPO. So the NPO is very big in the sense that we're already working together. We just secured $700,000 from the NPO to do the hike and bike trail, which is going to continue to go in front of the Edinburgh Police Department. If you guys have seen that old canal bank that has covered the police department, it runs all the way east back towards the Edinburgh Municipal Park. Some of you all know it as Doolittle Park. That is very important. These are projects that we're able to do working together, because we have to lobby votes from other cities in order for us to get that funding.
Mr. Garza, what opportunities do you see for Edinburgh to collaborate with other cities to benefit the entire Rio Grande Valley?
Sure, there's several. So first and foremost, we have to work with all our neighboring communities, not because we just should work together. We need to work together. We're all connected by just one road, right? Here we are on the Owasso Road. Part of it is, and it amazes me, right? We've lived there our whole life. People are still wondering, which side is Edinburgh? Which side is Pharr? Which side is McAllen? So we need to. It used to be that, the Friday night football mentality, right? That we all had just one football team. Now everybody has 4 or 5, so that's not even an issue anymore. But I think the point here is that we need to work together because from a traffic standpoint, as an example, we need to coordinate. I mentioned earlier about assessment of roads. Well, that assessment shouldn't just be done just within the city limit boundaries. It has to be done with our neighboring communities. If it's a Owasso Road, that covers 2 cities and a county precinct. So it's not just, I think, cities, it's also our county precinct. Because as y'all know, anything east and north of us, we're surrounded by a county precinct. So County Precinct 4, for example, is an entity that I would put together as a city because it borders our community. And there's some roads, I've been block walking out there, and their complaint to me is like, well, from here to there, it's a county, so that doesn't get affected, but from here to here, it's a city. So residents, they don't care. They need to be serviced, right? And so for us as a city, we need to do what we can to collaborate with cities, not just in roads, but also in the drainage as well, and just in development as well. So locally, I think those are the things that we need to do to collaborate and work with our communities that neighbor us. But in a global picture, more regional perspective, I've always been a rural regional guy. So those of you that may remember being involved in the EDC and being city manager, I've always been the person that always reached across not only to other cities, but neighboring counties. The MPO merger, I supported that. I think it's a great vehicle, but we need to go beyond that. We have 2 MSAs, actually 3 in the Valley. I think we need to have a Ruban Valley MSA, Metropolitan Statistical Area. We have the McAllen-Edinburgh Mission MSA, then we have the, I think it's the Harlingen-San Benito MSA, and then we have the Brownsville MSA. Together, we're 1.5 million people. A lot of you that are involved in business understand that when people are looking to invest, they're looking at MSAs. When they look at data, they're looking at city data, but then they look at MSA data. So I think we need to come together and work as a region to promote as an MSA.
Well, and I will mention to you, when Musk was looking to come here, I think all of the cities came together and the state came together to bring Elon Musk and SpaceX to the Rio Grande Valley. And while it's really helping in the Brownsville area, Cameron County, and Boca Chica, it really benefits the entire Rio Grande Valley because there's jobs being created, there's talent that is staying in the Rio Grande Valley, there's money, discretionary income being spent in the Rio Grande Valley, and it's because everybody came together to do it. And I do think that when people outside of the Rio Grande Valley talk about us, they talk about the Rio Grande Valley. They talk about the valley. They don't talk about McAllen or Edinburgh or Far or Weslaco, or they talk about the valley. So regionalism, I think, is critical, and I appreciate that that you recognize it as well. One quick last question, and then we will conclude for today. What would you say, how do you best distinguish yourself from your opponent? And I'll start with you, Mayor.
Well, I'm the city mayor, so you all have seen the job that I've done. I think that gives me definitely an advantage because you've seen the work. Also, I've sat on the council for a previous 4 years, so I've been on this for 8 years. I like to see the new, fresh ideas of the gentlemen that were up here that haven't had the opportunity to serve. Obviously, they're going to have the opportunity here. I like to compare it to watching a football game. I'm a big Cowboy fan. And you see Dak Prescott in the pocket, and there's a big linebacker that splits right through and tackles him. And it's, how did you not see that guy? He was right in front of you, right? Because we're watching it from the comfort of our homes or even at the game. And it's easier to watch people and critique them and to say, well, I would have done it like this. I would have done it like that. Because you kind of get the ideas of, oh, when I get in there, I'm going to do this. When I get in there, I'm going to do that. We have taken considerable action here very, very quickly in the city of Edinburgh. It is the fastest growing city, and I would like to say that I've been a part of that. I've put together a team that has been a part of that. And when you look at Edinburgh, there is a big buzz going on. I joke around with the other mayors when we go into these MPO meetings and we go into these drainage municipal committees because they see what's happening here. And we're truly blessed as a city because people want to move here. And I always say this, the sentiment is people want to live in Edinburgh, but they want to party in McAllen. That's just what I've seen. And the whole idea is we need to keep this going. I worked as a police officer for 11 years with the city. I was able to see both ends of the spectrum. As you see, I talked about this the other day. I talked about, we did the Driscoll Children's Hospital, where you have doctors and you have the who's who show up. And then I turned around on the same day, we did a promotion for Whataburger. People that also produce jobs. Two different ends of the spectrum. I think what I bring to the table as a police officer is every day being on the road, you get to see the two different cultures of Edinburgh, and they do exist. And you have to be able to relate to both of those. I think that my experience as a police officer, being a former veteran, I think that's what separates me. I'm born and raised in Edinburgh. That does not make me the better candidate by any means, but I have extended family here. I have cousins. I have people that I went to elementary with. I have people that I went to junior high with. I have people that I went to high school with. People that I went to UT Pan American with. That those are relationships that I could carry forever, regardless of I'm the mayor. But what separates me is being able to connect to everybody.
Thank you. Mr. Garza?
Thank you. So that's a good question. I think it's everybody's here. Who do you want to vote for? We're here. But what I have to offer you is obviously my experience working with the city. You know, I served this community for 15 years. 9 years as executive director of the EDC and 6 years as city manager. I know the city very well. I know the ins and outs of the city. And, you know, I think that's important. Also bring to you, I have a master's in business administration and I have a bachelor's in finance. I feel that I'm very well prepared. In fact, I think it's almost full circle for me to serve in this role. I have not been elected before, so I do not have that as an advantage, but you know, when people run for these things, nobody was born elected, right? So we all have to run for some at some point. And I think that's what distinguishes me probably the most is my direct experience. The other thing too is, you know, I didn't mention this earlier, but you know, in running for this, you know, why am I running? You know, I think it's important that we all get more engaged in our government. And you know, you saw the turnout in the election. We had about 8,000 people out of 48,000 that are registered. You know, and I ask people when I'm block walking, well, why didn't you vote? They tell me, well, I voted, but so-and-so didn't vote, and I ask them why. And I think the answers that I get is there's a lack of trust, right, in government. They're just, people feel that their vote is not going to go far enough. And so, you know, when I hear that, it emphasizes my platform, you know, about building back that trust so that we can get more people back to run. And we need to have a code of ethics for us as elected officials so that we can get people back more engaged. And one of the things that I did to do that is I pledged not to accept campaign contributions from vendors, you know, that provide a service to the city. You know, I think that's a good start, you know, and that's a pledge that I made that should I get elected mayor, I hope to adopt that as some kind of a, you know, ethics board or something that would be a campaign finance part. So I think that's important to me. I think it's all about getting people engaged. And, you know, the fact that, you know, I haven't accepted contributions from vendors. I think that distinguishes me quite a bit. And I think it's important that you know what we stand for, what we do. As mentioned, you know, I served the community 15 years, so it's open record. I've served the community honorably, and look forward to serving as your mayor.
Well, I want to thank you, gentlemen, for participating in today's forum on behalf of the chamber and, of course, on behalf of the city. We mentioned earlier that running for public office is not easy. It takes a lot of time. It takes away your privacy, and it really puts you out there. And we appreciate the fact that both of you are, and on all our council candidates as well, are doing this, and that you care about your city enough to want to run and serve it. So thank them all with a round of applause, and make sure you go out and vote in the runoff election.